Once upon a time, long ago, there lived a creature called Anansi. Sometimes Anansi was a spider, sometimes he was a man, and other time he was a strange mix of the two. Anansi was a trickster and he was having difficult time. He had no money to buy food for his family. As he walked around the village early one morning, he had a glare on his face and growl in his stomach. Passing by a neighbor's house, Anansi heard something that delighted him. The neighbor was an old witch. She was an angry and unfriendly witch who became energetic whenever anyone said her name. She hated her name. All through her life, people had laughed or looked surprised when they heard what her name was. Can you guess what her name was? It was 5. Anansi peeked through a gap in the witch's boundary. She was stirring her big cooking pot and whispering and mumbling a spell. The smoke and sparks were blue and green, so Anansi knew she was cooking up some big magic. Suddenly, she snatched up her staff and started to pound in on the ground as she walked around the pot. Anansi listened carefully to what she said. I curse anyone who says the word 5 to vanish forever. Anansi rushed to the path that ran along the river bank between the village and the marketplace. Rapidly, everyone who was going to the market would walk past. They would be on their way to buy the delightful yams, beets, pulses, and grains that would be piled high in the market. Anansi set to work and piled up 5 mounds of earth near the path. They looked just like he had planted 5 yams. Then he sat down and waited. First to come by was little Mrs. Rabbit. She carried basket full of sweet potato pieces and walked slowly because it was heavy. Anansi stepped forward and smiled. That looks like a big weight. Please rest a while and help me. I don't know how to count, so I cannot tell how many yams I have planted. Mrs. Rabbit was kind, so she stopped. She put down her basket and hopped along the row, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a flash and a bang. Mrs. Rabbit disappeared. Anansi gobbled down the whole basket of sweet potato in seconds. He licked his lips and sat down again to wait. Not long after, he heard little footsteps on the path and looked up. It was Mr. Duck. He walked along with his chest held high and his feet made a slip-slap sound on the path. He had a bed with his lunch in it by his side. Mr. Duck stopped when he saw Anansi and asked him how he was. Anansi put on a glum expression. Mr. Duck, I have no idea how to count my yam plants. Can you help me, please? Mr. Duck bobbed his head and puffed out his chest even further. Well, Anansi, he said, it is quite simple. Start with 1, then it's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mr. Duck disappeared instantly. Anansi ate up the lunch.